When planes take off in this country or are headed to America on a domestic-based carrier, it's the job of the federal air marshals to make sure they land safely and that terrorists don't take over the flight and create a repeat of 9/11. While the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, says it's working great, some in the know disagree.
It's a complete failure.
This is one of more than 10 federal air marshals, or FAMs as they are called, that we've been talking to for the past several weeks. We've disguised their voices and faces, and while they may look and sound alike, there are several here.
The Congress, the White House, and the public has been sold a bill of goods.
These federal agents, whose identity we have hidden, blame the managers in the agency.
They have a pre-9/11 mentality. They are the individuals. It's this mindset that they have. They're the ones that are responsible for allowing 9/11 to happen. They're retirees from the Secret Service and their cronies, which are also retirees from other federal agencies, federal law enforcement agencies, that are their friends.
The FAMs say the double-dipping retired Secret Service managers, who make up a significant amount of management of the agency throughout the country, know nothing about air safety. They point to the fact that they didn't undergo the rigorous 2.5-month anti-terrorist training that federal air marshals undergo. However, the FAMs say managers will often work an international flight to get a free flight to a choice destination. Here's another FAM's take on that.
The concern is here that these managers don't have the level of training or the experience that the everyday FAM does.
The FAMs also complain about managers who work domestic flights as well. In an EEO suit against the agency, one FAM alleged the assistant special agent in charge of the Tampa office, James Zelato, was working what's called a check flight and also acting as a backup from Orlando to Atlanta when, according to the lawsuit, he was asleep. Standard operating procedure is that he would have had a weapon.
He was asleep. It's an embarrassment.
I mean, he was supposed to be protecting the public.
Correct. If an actual bad guy knew that who he was and that he was armed, that individual could have made a play for the gun, absolutely.
Zelato didn't return our calls, and the TSA would not confirm or deny the allegation. But an agency spokesman says the TSA will look into these allegations. However, since we started making our inquiries, the agent in charge of the Central Florida office issued this email saying Zelato is temporarily reassigned to the Orlando office and not in charge of Tampa until further notice. A third FAM explains it this way.
When you become a supervisor, you are untouchable.
Then there's what's called the Jeopardy Board. The FAMs say managers played a game using derogatory terms for blacks, Hispanics, women, gay people, and veterans, which were not welcome in the agency. They say it shows the hostile work environment they have to endure. This FAM took the picture of the Jeopardy Board while it was in the Orlando office.
We've got categories like pickle smokers, which would have went after anyone who was gay. They had a buckwheat category or an R-gang category, which specifically targeted African Americans.
The agent in charge of the Orlando office, Bill Reese, while not confirming the board, sent out this memo saying the allegations are that the Jeopardy Board contains numerous insensitive references to race, gender, and sexual orientation. He says discrimination won't be tolerated. Meantime, the TSA, which has confirmed the board, says because of the allegations, it's doing an internal affairs investigation into the Central Florida office.
These guys acted as a group of bullies. These are law enforcement officers who crossed the line, who believed that they were above the law at any cost.
And while federal air marshal after federal air marshal after federal air marshal told us about problems agency-wide about the organization, which operates under the Transportation Security Administration, these same federal air marshals say that the Central Florida Division, which operates out of Orlando and here in Tampa, has a nationwide distinction.
This is probably the worst example that there is. They're careerists. They care nothing about the job or doing the job, going after terrorists. They only care about their career.
And the air marshals say they believe the country is vulnerable for another attack because they say those in charge are focused on office politics and their pensions instead of terrorism and protecting the country. Mike Deason, 10 Connects.